Hello and welcome to my review of the Space Marine Legion Relic Contemptor Dreadnought. Bit of a mouthful. One of these models will cost you £36, and that's just for the body. You've then got to pay £10 each for the weapon, and you can equip it with loads of different weapons. You can equip it with the claw type Power Fist. The Power Fist does come with either bolters in there or a flamer, which is pretty good. I've got a twin las cannon that I put on there for him. Looks pretty good. I think he's like £1 more than a normal Contemptor Dreadnought, and I much prefer him to the plastic one that Games Workshop do. You know, if you're thinking about a Contemptor, trust me, it's worth paying the extra 20 quid. Even if you can't afford the weapons and you just get the body for £1 more than the plastic one, that's a start. You know, and then get the two weapons next month or whenever. You can magnetize it. There's nothing stopping you from magnetizing the in the joints and having different arms and swapping them with your other Contemptor Dreadnoughts. However, if you want to swap the actual weapons, you need to magnetize the sort of inside of there. So there you go. I think it's got a lot of detail. You know, a lot going on. I suppose you could use it as a custodian guard Contemptor Dreadnought if you really wanted, but it's the same price with the weapons as like a Galatus or an Achilles, and you just need to swap those weapons out. It's got lots of detail, more detail than the normal Contemptor. I don't have the normal Contemptor in resin. I will be getting that, and I'll be doing a comparison things with that one. I'll be doing a Contemptor sort of special video at some point. But yeah, lots of detail. I didn't really have any issues putting it together. The only issue I had was I messed up the gun a little bit there. I'm not ashamed to say, and that's only because it wasn't due to the model itself. It was just to the pose that I put in it, and I didn't really like it, so I had to go back and hack it a little bit just to change the pose slightly. But yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with the way it's turned out now, and yeah, it's you know, as I say, lots of detail. And the poses you can put this thing in, just very numerous. You know, you can change all the knees and the legs and the feet. You know, you can have it completely bent. You can change the rotation of the torso, the articulation of the whole arm and the fingers if you want to. You can move the head, you know, so he's looking a different way. But there you go, that's the way I've sort of built mine. Size comparison wise, yeah, I did show you the plastic one. It's obviously exactly the same size as the plastic one, but the plastic one, his head is looking exactly forward. He's pretty much in two halves. You can see a bit of a join line there, which is pretty bad on my behalf. I might clear that up one day. But yeah, with the plastic one, I've magnetized it in the arms, so yeah, you can have it. There's some posability. I mean, it's not that strongly magnetized, but yeah, I much prefer the resin one, and it's worth spending that extra money to build it the way you sort of want to. And yeah, you can definitely tell on the back there's just a lot more going on, a lot more detail. You know, and the feet, the poses that you can put this thing in, like I say, are just immense. So yeah, same size as a normal plastic one. I've got a normal Dreadnought here. There you go. So Contemptors are bigger than normal Dreadnoughts, a bit more of a presence, and yeah, definitely next to like Space Marine, they're definitely gonna, you know, a Space Marine only game, like a lot of the Horus Heresy is, a much taller, more of a presence. You know, you can use the older Dreadnoughts in the Horus Heresy games too. But there you go, that's just a size comparison there. Next to a Primaris, you know, it is possible you can use this Contemptor in 40k, and I'll go over the rules in a bit. But yeah, next to Primaris, yeah, bit more of a presence there compared to you know, your standard Dreadnought. And then the last size comparison I want to make is just with the Leviathan Dreadnought. I don't have the Redemptor on me at the moment, but the Leviathan is you know, almost as big as the Redemptor, so I just thought I'd show you that. It's kind of Contemptor and then Leviathan Contemptor Dreadnought. They're the differences. That's what you're paying your extra sort of £20 or so for, which is worth it in my opinion. You know, if you wanted to get one of these, I'd go for the Leviathan every time. It's just, you know, it's just a beast of a model. It really is. And yeah, as easy to build as the normal Contemptor. I do like the thickness too. Yeah, so yeah, that's the size comparisons there between you know, a Relic Contemptor and a Leviathan. So this is my part of the review where I'll go through all of the rules for the Relic Contemptor Dreadnought. Now, if you've equipped it with the twin las cannons like mine, you're not going to find it in your Space Marine Codex anywhere. The only one you're going to find is the normal Contemptor Dreadnought, which has the Kiri's Assault Cannon or the multi-melter. However, you can use this one in your games of 40k by using the Imperial Armour Index Forces of the Adeptus Astartes, which looks like this, and it's just got all the data sheets and things in it. So the Relic Contemptor Dreadnought, if you want to use it in 40k, it's a power points cost of a 13. You'll find it in the elite section. It will cost you 135 points for match play, which is a fair amount of points, and then you've got to buy all the weapons and things. Now, mine has a twin las cannon, which is 50 points, so that's 185 points, and it has a Dreadnought close combat weapon, which is another 40. So you're looking at 225 points for this one, plus the Storm Bolter, which is another 2. So 227 points for this Relic Contemptor Dreadnought, which is a fair amount of points when you think about it. You know, you could get a squad of Terminators, I think, for that. So its stat line then. It's one of these units which its stats are affected by the more damage it takes. When its remaining wounds are between 7 and 12, its weapon skill is 2+, ballistic skill 2+, and attacks 4. That's pretty decent. When it has remaining wounds of 3 to 6, its weapon skill drops to 3+, and ballistic skill 3+, and attacks drops to 3. And then when it's only got 1 to 2 wounds left, its weapon skill is 4+, ballistic skill 4+, and attacks D3. So even when it's almost dead and it's got 1 or 2 wounds, it's still got 50-50 chance to hit, and it still could have up to 3 attacks. Pretty good. So its base stat line, taking the damage factor out of account, its movement is 9 inches, which is pretty fast when you think about it. It's almost as fast as a Land Raider moving flat out. A Land Raider is 10-inch movement, so it's almost as fast as a tank in that regard. Its weapon skill, as I said, is 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength 7, toughness 7, 12 wounds, attacks 4, leadership 8, and a save of 2+. That's why you're getting it. You're getting the toughness 7, you're getting 12 wounds and a save of 2+, and you're getting its speed and its weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+. You know, this is a 2+ monster in that regard. It's a single model and it's equipped with 2 Dreadnought close combat weapons and 2 Storm Bolters. Obviously mine isn't. I've equipped mine with you know, Dreadnought close combat weapon and twin las cannon. I'll just run through the list of all the weapons. I won't go through the weapon profiles. What I will say is it's up to you whether you think the extra 6 points is worth it for the Dreadnought Chain Fist. It's pretty decent. The normal close combat weapon has a strength of ×2, so that's 14, AP -3 and a damage 3. But if you pay the extra little few points, that makes it an AP -4 and a damage of 4. So that could be horrific against sort of Terminators, things like that. It also has a Storm Bolter, which is a range 24 inches, rapid fire 2, strength 4, damage 1, AP 0, and Heavy Flamer, which is 8 inches, heavy D6, strength 5, AP -1, and a damage of 1. And the weapon hits its targets automatically. So you can have the Heavy Flamer or Storm Bolter in the Dreadnought close combat weapon. You could equip it with a Plasma Blast Gun, a Graviton Blaster, a C-Beam, which is a 72-inch range weapon, a twin heavy bolter, a multi-melter, twin autocannon, heavy plasma cannon, twin las cannon, which mine has, and a Kiri's Assault Cannon. Now mine has a twin las cannon. I just wanted a bit of anti-tank weaponry. So it's a 48-inch range, heavy 2-shot, strength 9, AP -3 and damage D6, and I just wanted that with the 2 shots and with its you know, ballistic skill being 2+, you're pretty much getting 2 great shots every turn. War gear options. A Relic Contemptor may choose to take up to 2 heavy weapons from the following list, replacing 1 Dreadnought combat weapon and 1 Stormbolter for each weapon chosen. So that's just the list that I just went through. And 1 or more Stormbolters may be exchanged for the following: Heavy Flamer, Plasma Blast Gun or Graviton Blaster. Abilities. Atomantic Shielding. The model has a 5+ invulnerable save. So this harks back to the Custodes, which I've recently sort of reviewed and things, that it's got a 2+ normal and a 5+ invulnerable because of the atomantic shielding. So Unstoppable Fury. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for this model if it is equipped with 2 melee weapons. So that's not going to affect this one, but if you got the 2 close combat weapons, then there you go. And I think this thing would wreck face if it had 2 Dreadnought Chain Fists, definitely. Relic of Ancient Glory. Roll a d6 each time this model loses a wound. On the roll of a 6, that damage is ignored and the wound is not lost. That's pretty good. So it has the chance of ignoring lost wounds. And Explodes. If this model is reduced to 0 wounds, you roll a d6 before removing it from the battlefield, and on a 6 it explodes and each unit within 6 inches suffers d3 mortal wounds. So it's the same as most vehicles really, and once it dies it has the chance of exploding. Its keywords are Imperium, Adeptus Astartes, Chapter, Vehicle, Dreadnought, Relic, Relic Contemptor, Dreadnought. So there you go. That's all of the rules and things for the Relic Contemptor Dreadnought. Lots and lots of options, very flexible, a decent model, and there's lots of Contemptor Dreadnoughts on the Forge World website. It's a very popular model. It's been around for, well over 5 years at least now, I'm sure of it. This one, compared to a normal Contemptor Dreadnought, there's nothing stopping you from just buying a normal Contemptor Dreadnought and buying the different weapons and calling it a Relic Contemptor Dreadnought and using it in your games of 40k if you so wish. There's no reason why you have to choose this plastic one with the Kiri's Assault Cannon and the multi-melter, because let's face it, those 2 weapons are short range and they might not be up to the task you want to set this particular unit. So it's great that in the index it gives you that chance of using a Relic one, which again doesn't have to have all the fancy, iconography and stuff on. You can pick any sort of Contemptor Dreadnought from Forge World and any sort of weapon that they've got on there and just use it. You don't have to just use this, the plastic one is what I'm trying to say. I think it's a really decent model, very underrated. Yes, it's going to struggle against a Leviathan Dreadnought. Leviathan has more wounds, it has a better toughness, a better strength. It's a little bit slower, but only by 1 inch, and its weapons are horrific. The Siege Drill and the Siege Claw, but it's very short range. It savers 2+, and it does have a 4+ invulnerable instead of the 5+, but it can't ignore the wounds that the Relic Contemptor can. So just bear that in mind. It's still preferable to drop pod this one in, much like the Leviathan Dreadnought, but just bear in mind, if you're up against the Leviathan Dreadnought and the person isn't using a drop pod for it, then you've got a bit of an advantage, because this one can move about on the battlefield, firing those 2 las cannon shots at it, and yes, he gets his 4+ invulnerable, but there might be some times when he gets less than the 4 and loses a couple of wounds to the las cannons. So just bear that in mind. Just keep out of range of a Leviathan Dreadnought, and if your opponent is using a Leviathan in a drop pod, well, just pray for the best is my suggestion. Anyway, what do you guys think of the Contemptor Dreadnoughts or the Relic Contemptor Dreadnought in particular? Do you use one in every game? Do you prefer it to a Leviathan in game, just for its speed and its range weaponry and just the amount of different weapons that it can take? What do you guys think? Please do put it all in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor protects.